So if I go in here, and again, let's just go back to real-time mode because that's going to fail. That's essentially never going to come back. I'm never going to get a response. So let's just go back to real-time mode. Let's go back into the switch for a moment. We can see that fast Ethernet 1 is still a member of VLAN 1, but we don't want that. We want that to be actually a trunk port. And what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to actually physically, or if you like statically, better word for that, to statically define this trunk port. You might say, well, how am I going to do that? I can go into conft, so configuration mode, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into interface fast Ethernet 0/1. Okay, so again, I've just used I've used the tab key there to use the long word there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say switch port mode, but in this case, I don't want this to be an access. So it's just saying there that I don't want this to be an access port. I actually want this to be a trunk port. So I'm going to say switch port mode trunk. And what this will do, you'll notice that the link goes down, and you can see again, spanning tree is doing a bit of checking here, but essentially what I'm doing is I'm bringing down the network and I'm making this a trunk port. If I say exit again and show VLAN, we'll notice that this port disappears from our VLAN database. You'll see that this fast Ethernet 1, it's no longer an access port belonging to one VLAN. It's actually now, if we wanted to see this, we could go show interface trunk. And what this shows is, it shows us that this port here is actually trunking. And we'll notice here, there's a keyword. This is the IEEE standard of 802.1q, and it's in a status of trunking. We'll also notice that it's allowing all of these different VLANs across this trunk. So it's allowing VLAN 1, VLAN 10, and VLAN 20. Now, there's one little issue here. We've done it on one side, but we haven't done it on the other side. So what I need to also do is I need to ensure that this other side is trunking and it's going to allow all of these other VLANs. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to go jump over to switch 2 and I'm going to do a similar command. I'm going to go into conft, I'm going to go into interface fast Ethernet 0/1, okay, and I'm going to go switch port mode trunk. And essentially, I'm going to do the exact same thing as I'm doing over in switch 1. In this case, I'm going to say show VLAN. And in this case, again, fast Ethernet 0/1 is no longer there. If I go show interface trunk, I can see that it's now trunking and it's doing 802.1q. The mode is on, it's statically defined, and I'm allowing this port to go across this link. So for example, I can see that. So now guys, when I do a test from PCA to PCB, well, I can see it's successful. And one last thing, so up to this point guys, I guess just to have a quick look at where we're at, we've created the VLANs, we've assigned them to switch ports, we've verified the VLAN port assignments, we've configured an 802.1q trunk, so this is the fast Ethernet 0/1 to the fast Ethernet 0/1 on switch 2. And now, the last part of this is, part 4, is just to observe the traffic across the trunk link. So for example, guys, if I wanted to see this, again, I'm going to just delete this and go into simulation mode. What we can actually do here to actually see these tags being added, if I go from A to B and do a quick little test, we'll notice that when I click on this inbound piece, PDU, this protocol data unit, I can see the inbound. So this is the normal Ethernet header, okay? But we're going to notice something very different on the outbound side when it's going to go send it out this link. You're going to notice that there's a new tag added in here. So let's see this, okay? So in here, guys, we can see actually this. We'll notice that we've got in here, guys, we can see this type. Can you see this? We've got this new little field in here. And what this is doing, so let's just go back and see this again. So inbound, you can see. So essentially, you'll notice that there's not a lot in here. There's an added couple of different headers. You can see I've got a TPID, I've got a TCI, and I've got a type of 0x1. So what this is all in hexadecimal because that's how MAC addresses are. But this is our VLAN tags in here. And essentially, what we can do is you might say, well, what is 0x1? Well, if, for example, your hexadecimal isn't too great, what we can do is we can jump down here to a calculator, and what we can say is we can jump over here to for example, I know that it's VLAN. From looking at this, I know that this port, when this traffic is going to leave, it's going to add in a little VLAN and it's going to stamp it with a 10. So if I just put in the number 10 there, and if I go up to change this into hexadecimal, I see that this is the value 0x to basically designate hexadecimal A. So that stands for 10 in hexadecimal. And that's why we're seeing this 10 being identified here. So once this goes across the link, what we'll see is the switch receives it on VLAN 10. What it's going to do is it's going to look at that tag. It's going to go, oh, you're looking for VLAN 10. I'm going to send it out now without the tag down to my PCB. And that's what it's going to do essentially. It's going to send it down to PCB. PCB is going to respond. What's going to happen? The switch 2 is going to take that standard frame and it's going to add again. It's got no tag receiving it. It's going to add another tag. What tag is it going to add? It's going to add a tag of basically 10 onto this. And that's essentially going to go back over to PCA. And there we have it, guys. We've got a successful ping across the link. So we can see that these two guys are communicating. Now again, just to finish this off, if we just delete that, again, can we ping PC, this faculty PC? So should we be able to ping it? Well, the answer to that should be absolutely no. They're on completely different subnets. We don't want them to communicate at this point. And in this case, you can see that I'm ARPing for this traffic. In this case, you can say, why has it gone out this port even here? Because remember, it sent the ARP out this port because this was the only member of VLAN 10. So again, what does an ARP do? It's an ARP broadcast. So it broadcasted out all ports. So again, because these were the only ports, it sent it over the trunk link and sent it out this port. Again, it was looking for 192.168.20.3 because I was sending the ping message from here to here. It went out to here. This guy said, I'm not 20.3. I'm not going to respond to you. So again, we can't communicate. So in another video in the future, what we'll do, guys, is we'll do inter-VLAN communication where we'll get these PCs to communicate. But for now, we've satisfied our VLAN concepts and our configuration. We're extremely happy that just our student PCs can communicate with one another and they can communicate with the faculty. If we did add another faculty machine here, we should be able to communicate. And let's do that for our own testing purposes. Let's add a PC here. Let's very quickly just add in a quick link. And what we'll also need to do is we'll need to add in basically a quick IP address in this case. Obviously, we'd need to put it on the same subnet, the faculty subnet in this case. I would go 20 dot, and let's just put in 5. And let's pop in here 192.168.20.1. I think that was our default gateway we set on this machine over here. We'll just double check that. 20.1. And there's one last thing we need to do. One last thing we need to do is we would need to tell the switch that there's a VLAN 20 machine here. So we'd have to go in here and do a little bit of configuration. So we'd have to go conft, because again, at the moment, remember, where is Fast Ethernet 03? It's on the VLAN 1. And if it's on VLAN 1, it's not going to be able to ping VLAN 20 traffic. So we've got to obviously set this up. So I'm going to go conft interface Fast Ethernet 0/3. And in this case, what I'm going to do is switch port, access, VLAN 20. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say switch port, mode, access. And once I've done that, guys, what should happen is I should see in my show VLAN, I should see my VLAN in Fast Ethernet 03. I also need to double check that Fast Ethernet 18 is in faculty, so in the VLAN 20. At the moment, it's not, is it, guys? So I haven't done that at the moment. So in order for those guys to speak, I would need that still, if you like, in VLAN 1. So again, our PC was trying to get to VLAN 20, but even at that, it was in VLAN 1. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go conft interface Fast Ethernet, and I'll just double check which one was that. Fast Ethernet 0/18. 0/18. And what I'm going to go is, I'm going to go interface, I'm going to go switch port, mode, access, VLAN 20, and switch port, mode, access. And once I've done that, guys, I'll wait a moment, I'll just double check that I can see that it's moved. So indeed, I've got my friend over here in PC. I just have to wait for spanning tree to finish. If I want to quicken up that process of spanning tree, I can cheat a little bit by forwarding on the clock here. So again, we're in simulation mode here at the moment, so I'm going to go back to real-time mode, forward on the clock to basically skip a bit of time so that STP converges and everything's okay. Now what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to delete that message and I'm going to give this a try. Now again, between these messages, the first message might be an ARP and it might fail. Oh, well, in actual fact, there was some traffic already going across there. So in actual fact, the ARPs must have came back and you can see that I've got success between these two PCs, between this PC and this PC. Now again, guys, because I've done that, still I won't be able to ping between A and C. Why? They're on completely different subnets, different VLANs. I won't be able to ping between these guys, and that's good. Later on, if we did need to ping or to communicate between faculty and students, we'd need to set up inter-VLAN communication, and that's when our friend, the router, would need to come into play. But as for this demo, guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you have a better understanding of VLANs, and I'll talk to you soon. Take it easy. Bye.